Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Had a couple little last minute things. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Janet. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Max is, he's my special guy. We have lots of fun. I miss the little Max. Of course, I love the big Max too, but it's, when he was little, he was a little more innocent. And now he's almost on his way to being a teenager, so, the things change a little bit. Anyway, hi, Monica. Hi, Renee. Is that how you say your name, Renee? That's what it looks like to me. Okay. My wings. I need a haircut again. Okay, so today we're going to make some buttons, and there's a few different styles that we're going to try, and hopefully you will learn something of value to you if you haven't tried this technique already. I'm going to be using coins and sheet metal. So, oh good, I said that right. Thank you. It took me a minute, and then it's like, well, it looks like that. Okay, so I'm going to move the camera down and show you some of the buttons that I have made. These are coins right here. A few different world coins. This one from the UK I really like a lot. It's a farthing. It's got a little bird on it. And I've got a couple of those. And then soldered on a shank on the back, which is just a fancy name for a jump ring on the back. And then this buffalo head nickel, or buffalo nickel, I soldered on a shank to that. And then I also soldered on a little cabochon on there. And then this coin is going to be, it's a flat button. It's just got the two holes drilled in it. This one is from Poland. It looks like a Polish chicken or something on there. That must be the national bird, I don't know. And then these are made from sheet metal on textured sheet. And this one is a rather flat button, so I soldered on like a half of a jump ring on the back just to keep it a little more flat. Otherwise, I will use a whole jump ring normally on the domed buttons. Since they're domed, it takes a little bit more space, so the whole button or the whole jump ring works well in there. And then this is just another two-hole button that I domed slightly on here. Okay, so those are just a few examples of buttons that can be made. Hopefully we'll have a good broadcast, that the internet will and Facebook will cooperate. And here are some of my coins that I've got. I'm not going to do all of these, but of course, but just a few choices. I really am partial to this buffalo nickel. I just love that, and this little farthing. But there are some really pretty scenes on some of the different coins. This one needs to be cleaned, but it's got stalks of wheat on here, and just different pictures. You can find some really interesting ones in world coins. So those are kind of fun. All right, so if at any time, if you have questions, if you want to, or comments, you can go ahead and post a comment, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. And the first order of business would be to cut a couple of discs. And I've already got them pre-cut, but I'll show you how I do it with my disc cutter in case you haven't seen this before. We need a fair amount of things to accomplish this project. So my first item is my disc cutter, and this is an older Peppy version or Peppy model, and then I have some sheets of textured copper that I put through the rolling mill on texture plates. So I'm going to use this. This one I believe is 22 gauge. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 22 gauge. I have 20 and 22, and either one is fine to use for a button. So, and I've got, I'm using a 7/8 punch and a 3/4 inch punch. And I have my hammer. And I forgot my lube. Hang on just a sec. I always forget something. If this is all that happens, if this is all I forget today, that's no biggie. So I'm going to just lubricate the edge of my punch here, just to keep it in good shape and cutting properly. And then I'm going to lift my disc punch and line this up. I always cut from the back side of the metal. That way if I get burrs, they'll be on the back side and not on the front. Put my punch in there, and this is going to be loud. And voila, a nicely cut disc. So this is the 7/8 inch size, which is a good button size. And then I'm going to cut one in 3/4. I've got a bad spot on this sheet. I don't know how that happened, but normally I wouldn't put my copper in quite like this, but that's how it's going. Okay, so then I will lubricate the edge of this punch. So I have a 7/8 and a 3/4 inch disc. Hi, Mary. Hi, Louise. Hi, Sunny. Oh, okay. Sunny, I'm using 22 in this, but 20 will work nicely as well. If you want a little bit more substantial button, a 20 gauge would be nice. Okay, so I've got those two cut. And that's all the disc cutting I'm going to do. And then I'm going to solder on a shank on this button, and then this one I will just punch holes in this. They may need just a tad of sanding, just a tiny bit, because they cut pretty clean. Okay, on that. Okay, so this guy, I'm going to replicate this button right here, which is a little metal clay bee that I had made already, and I'm going to attach or solder him on this button. Okay. Hey, Tammy. Hi, Deborah. Okay. Well, Deborah, you watch as long as you can. You can always catch up later on. I know it's rough when you're at work. Okay, so now I'm going to dome this. And let's see, I guess that's the appropriate size right there. Yeah, that's a little better. And you can dome it as much or as little as you want. Okay, so then I guess that's not really even because it's wobbling a little bit. Let's see if I can do a little better. That's better. He was a little wobbly. Hi, Cindy. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I have to do 2 soldering jobs here. One, I have to attach the jump ring in here for the shank. And then the other is that I have to solder on the bee. And my bee is flat, so I need to curve him a little bit too. Give him a slight curve so he fits, that he'll sit right on top of the on the button. So I'm just going to put my bee in here upside down and just go a few whacks. I guess I should have them over here. Just enough to give him a slight curve, which is plenty right there, if you can see that. Okay, so because I'm going to do 2 soldering jobs, I'm going to use 2 different solders. I'm going to solder on the jump ring with medium solder, and then I am going to, actually maybe I should solder that on with hard solder. That might be a little bit better, but I have to go grab it. So that's number 2. Oh, bear with me, guys. Okay, I got it. It really actually was right next to me. Okay, so I'm going to use the hard solder, and then I'm going to use easy solder to put the bee on. Monica, yes, I did. Fine silver metal clay. Yes, I did. I have a demo on making these little embellishments from back in the fall, I believe. And that's big fun. Making those is a lot of fun in my opinion. All right, let me get my soldering pins here. All right, so you'll need a 3rd hand, and I'm going to be using solder paste just so it holds it easier. Nail molds, no, I'll show you what kind I use, but they're silicone molds that I got on Etsy, and they're a lot of fun. Okay, so I am going to put in a tiny dab of solder, paste solder. Well, that's not really a tiny dab, but sometimes it's hard for that to come out of that tube very well. And I closed my jump ring already, and I'm going to put the split of the jump ring into the solder paste, so that way that closes that jump ring up. And get this lined up. Sometimes it takes a little futzing around to, that is just entirely too much solder. Okay. And try to get everything as straight on as possible. Grabbing my okay, now I've got my fume trap. I'm going to turn that on. Hey, Deb. No problem. Glad you're here. Okay, so I've got my fume trap on. It's going to make some noise. And where's my torch? Just heat that up. And there's always a little smoke and flame with this paste solder, so you can expect that. And there we go. Yeah, stuck to my mat, my soldering board. Let's see. Okay. So this crud, I hate when that happens. When your soldering board starts to disintegrate a little bit, sometimes this stuff breaks off on it. All right. So let me clean this up with my tool here, my micromotor. It'll be a lot faster, and then I'm going to clean up the spot where my solder board safety shield on, because I don't want this stuff hitting me in the face. I hate that. It hits you in the face and the neck, and you get those little crumbs. So while I've got this out, I'm going to just clean off the fire scale a little bit, just for the sake of saving some time. It should normally go into the pickle right now, but I'm cleaning this off so that I can put the bee on here and we don't have to wait so long. All right. Okay, so that jump ring is on there real well. And I'm going to go ahead and solder the bee on, and then I'll put it in the pickle. Okay. All right, so let me see. That's pretty much where I want them. So I will put some easy solder on now, wherever that went. Yeah, that's it right here. And I'm going to put a little bit on this guy. And he's sitting right there. Okay. All right, I'm going to solder this now. I think I'm going to try a smaller torch for this. Oh, get back here. I'm sliding a little bit. Do you see that? Oh no, it did. It's okay. I was thinking I melted off my jump ring, but I didn't. Okay. And then we quench him. Check this out. He just moved a little bit, but it's fine. It's still where it's supposed to be. Okay, so the bee is soldered on, and I'm going to put this in the pickle. All right. Yes, Cynthia, that's exactly what I did. You put the closed end into the jump ring. Otherwise, it can come apart. So that it kind of kills two birds with one stone. All right, let's go ahead and do the nickel now, because these things have to be in the pickle for a little while. And we can kind of just get this going, and then I can work on the 2-hole buttons afterwards. All right, so in this case, I want to put the buffalo as my focus. So I have, again, 2 soldering jobs, and I'm going to use a full jump ring in silver for this one. And I've already closed that one. And now I just have to dome the nickel. So buffalo is going to go down because I want him to be on the curve. All right. Hammer, hammer. Okay. All right. The nickels are a lot harder to dome. It's a lot thicker material, so it's going to take a little more force. If you have a hydraulic press, you can put that in there with a little urethane, and it'll dome up pretty quickly. Let's move down to a smaller one here. Just a little bit more. I don't want him too domed. Okay, that's good. On the jump ring, Sunny, I used an 18 gauge 4mm. Most of my all-purpose jump rings are 18 gauge wire and usually a 4mm. I mean, it's design specific really, but the 4mm is plenty big enough for inside the nickel. I've found when you solder these guys, they really get crusty and ugly and it takes a while for the pickle to work. In fact, I can't really get all the junk off in the pickle very well. Sometimes I still have to use the flex shaft to help remove some of that stuff. So it's just what I found on the nickels. The other ones not so much, but nickels, yes. All right, so I want to get this lined up too. I'm going to get some hard solder paste. Oh, there's a little dollop right there. Now I will have to plate the copper button that we just did, because I'm using silver solder, and the silver always comes through to some degree. I'm putting the jump ring with the split side down into the solder paste and try to get that lined up as evenly as possible, centered. I'm going to turn on my fume trap. And I'm going to try to not annihilate my silver jump ring, because the nickel takes a little bit more heat. I should work on a tripod. It would probably be smarter because I can heat from below. But I don't always think things out. Alright, so we get some smoke and maybe a little fire. Warm up that nickel all over. This is why a fume trap is important. Or if you don't have that, you should have a fan and an open window so that you're not breathing any fumes that any of this that this paste is emitting. It's going to take a lot of heat because I've also got the third hand sucking up some of the heat. And the solder is flowing. Okay. All right. And the third hand gets very hot as well, so use caution. All right, so that's soldered. And now I'm going to just clean off a little spot here with my micromotor, and then we can solder on the bezel cup as well. What kind of torch am I using? This particular one, Cynthia, is a Ronson that I got off of Amazon, but they don't make this model anymore. I don't know what it is with torches, but these companies don't seem to keep the same models in stock very long. I don't know why. I mean, this is a darn good little torch. It's actually probably my favorite of the micro torches, but they don't sell the exact same one anymore. So I don't know why. I have no clue. All right, so I'm going to put my face shield back on. I'm just going to clean off the little area where I want my bezel cup to go. That's all it needs. And where's my bezel cup? Here it is. All right. So sometimes I dig little holes. Well, in this little block, there's little areas that I can kind of carve out a little. So I want that jump ring to fit in that little hole there so it stays steady. This is a pretty crusty one, but it does the job. So in this case, I am going to put a little bit of Easy Solder. I'm just going to put it right on the nickel. Sometimes I put it on the back of the bezel cup, but it's pretty specific where I want it here. Try not to get too much. Easier said than done. Here's my tweezers. Tweezers. And put that bezel cup right in that area. Okay, and I'm going to use the small torch for this as well, because I don't want to annihilate that little bezel cup. Here it is. Sometimes the solder paste will make the object that you're trying to stick on move a little bit, so you need to keep your solder pick handy to keep it from running away too far. Nickel is so thick. It certainly should be. There we go. All right. Just give that a minute to cool off. And then I'll quench it. There we go. So that is really nasty looking. And I'll show it to you when I bring it out of the pickle, because it won't look a whole lot better than this. All right, so that's in the pickle. What's that? Okay, so we've got 2 buttons in the pickle right now. So Monica is asking me, do you look for the same signs that the solder has flowed with the paste as you do with the wire? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you can see the solder flow just the same. Okay. All right. So now, while we're waiting for those, we can do a couple of the 2-hole buttons. Put these out of the way. So many things. All right, so for the 2-hole buttons, and everything is on the handout that you need, but you're going to need a center punch, you need a ring clamp. This is if you're using the drill press, and I would just use the drill press on the coins because they are really thick and stiff. But on sheet metal that we make or texture ourselves, 20 or 22 gauge, you can easily punch a hole with the punch pliers. Yeah, Deb says now you just have to teach the youngsters how to sew on a button. That's no lie. That is no lie. There are not too many of those skills, I think, still being taught. And that's important. You should be able to know how to do some of those things. Okay, let's see what else. All right, so I'll do the first one just with the punch pliers, and then I'll use the hole press on the coins. And for the ones that I'm going to use the punch, I am going to mark 2 holes, and I'm going to eyeball them because that's how I do it. But I'm just using my little ruler or my mat guide here. Usually I put it in the cross section, although it really doesn't matter in this case. I'm just going to draw on the reverse side of the button. I'm going to draw 2 holes. Okay, and I do that prior to doming, okay, because I'm going to be doming where this is going to be domed, the front, and then when you go to punch your holes, if you go to punch your holes on something that's already domed, you're gonna crush it. So you want to put the holes in from the reverse side, on this side, after you've domed it. I don't like to put my holes in before I dome it because more than likely you're going to distort or deform those holes. So the holes should be punched after the fact. All right, so I'll find the right spot here, and going to dome this. Okay, so I have a nice curve on there. And then I'm going to take my hole punch and punch where I marked. And these have a nice long reach on them, so they're convenient to get in spots like that. Now, I am going to use a round file, a round skinny file, to just possibly clean out those holes just a tiny bit. The a bad thing is if you don't clean those holes and you're going to thread leather or some other kind of cord through your buttonholes, you may those little burrs may end up cutting your threads. So you want to make sure that those are nice and smooth. And that is all there is to making a 2-hole button with a disc cutter and a hole punch. These are great for a lot of different applications, like the wrap bracelets, different kinds of things. Well, wrap bracelets could use a shank too, but I don't know. I've used these many times with leather cord. Just make sure that you get it nice and smooth, so there's nothing to ruin your cords with. All right, let's see. Yep, it's important. I've got to teach Max that too one of these days. Oh, that's really good, Renee. Yeah, I think guys need to have those skills. You know, there's not always a woman going to be around in their lives to do that sort of thing, nor should they have to. Everybody should be able to take care of those things on their own. Okay, so this kind of button here. Now, you could also make it flat. You don't have to make it domed if you don't want to. Now, for the coin button, I'm going to use the drill press because this is a lot thicker metal. And I don't even know what kind of metal it is. It's probably a combination of a bunch of different things. I don't always feel confident soldering metals that I don't know what their content is, but that's where I say, you know, you really need to have good ventilation and be smart about it. Just be smart about it. There's a lot of buttons that come like in an aluminum, and I would just stay away from soldering that for sure. I think I'll do this one with the little scalloped edges. I think that's kind of cute. And what I'm going to do here is pretty simple. I'm going to put my 2 holes in here. That's true, Jennifer. Even women don't know how to do that, some of them. I think it's important. And I think taking home ec out of the schools a long time ago didn't do anybody a favor, because a lot of people learned how to do those life skills, and they don't teach it anymore as far as I know. First off, you get a pen that works. And I might put my holes just slightly farther apart for the drill press ones, because the drills are going to be a little bit bigger diameter than the hole punch, I believe. You would probably ruin your hole punches if you try to cut through these world coins. This one looks like it could be aluminum. It's, maybe not. It's not as light as some of the ones, but it's just better to drill a hole. So I'm going to take a center punch to get my hole started and put that on. There's a little ridge on this coin right where I want to put the hole punch, or the center punch, and make just a little starting hole, or a pilot hole, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to dome this one. I'm going to leave it flat. But this has got little palm trees on it. It's kind of cute. Where is this from? I have no idea. It looks, it actually looks kind of Middle Eastern. So, all right. Now, let's grab the drill press. I'm going to move the camera. Okay, and if I don't turn off the camera, it'll be a miracle. Now, can you guys see this? I'm going to wait. There's a little time lag between the phone and the computer, so I want to make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing. I have got a drill bit in here already. This is, I think it's probably a number 48 as far as twist drill numbers go. It's either a 48 or a 50. And I know we've had this discussion before as far as drill sizes. It's kind of confusing because there's different numbering systems, and but in some of the jewelry catalogs they have the twist drills identified with numbers. Some of them are metric, I believe, you know, in millimeters and stuff. So that's what we're using to do the hole. The other important thing, and this is an absolute must, is a ring clamp to hold your coin. This is a very secure way of not letting that coin get away from you, because it'll just spin. You could really hurt yourself, and you don't you don't want to go there. Okay, so I kind of build up. I know this thing, you know, raises and lowers, but I like to keep it pretty much in the same orientation, so I just use some pieces of scrap wood to kind of adjust the height that I need. And I'll drill into the wood. All right, so then I'm gonna crank it up. I'm holding on to my ring clamp. I put that on full speed. One hole. And 2 holes. Disconnect this thing. That's pretty simple, huh? If you have all the right tools, it makes your jobs so much easier. So that's making a 2-hole button with a hole press or a drill press, and the other with a hole punch. And then again, get rid of any burrs. Sometimes if you go back into the holes with your drill, you can kind of, from the opposite way, the opposite side of the coin, you can kind of knock off that little burr. Carefully though. That was kind of so-so. Excuse me. So I've got my 2 little holes in there, and that'll make a cute little button on something. I don't know if that I'd want these on my clothing necessarily, but I suppose if you had a spectacular button, you might want to. It's still a little bit rough. Any questions so far? That's a whole lot better. Okay. So we have 2. One with a domed button and one flat button coin. That's not perfectly centered, but that's what you get when you eyeball. But it'll still be fine to use. Okay, so now let's check on what's in the pickle. This Pegasus, it's backwards, but it's Pegasus. There's all kinds of ring clamps on the market, but and I have several, but after I got this one, I really like this one. It really stays, this little wood thing stays in there really nice and snug. So I haven't had any issues with that. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Where are we at here? Okay, so we have the B button and the nickel button. The nickel's going to take longer. And, you know, you guys have seen me kind of run things past, you know, fast, kind of take some shortcuts. But I'm really doing this for the sake of saving time on the demos. Oh, Dad, my dad's doing really good right now. Thank you for asking. He's doing really well. You know, things come and go with him, I guess, as with everybody, but he's doing good. He is walking every day, and he's taking the doctor's advice seriously, so he is doing everything that he's supposed to be doing, and he's feeling better for it. So that's good. Thanks for asking. All right, now because I used that solder paste, even if it wasn't paste, I mean it was silver solder, so it's gonna spread out there. So I'm gonna try to clean that up somewhat. I've got to get some of this crap out of my way. Oh, I see I'm pixelating. Did that just start, or has it been like that? All right, I am going to use a knife edge. Well, I may not be able to get in there. Yeah, I can for a little while anyway. I'm going to use a knife edge wheel on here and try to knock some of this solder off. Oh, there's my face shield. Okay. And you have to be careful with these wheels because you can dig in too far and make a ridge, so you don't want to do that. But this will help knock off a little bit. This actually there's a better one yet. I have found, oh, now I have a nose itch now that I have that shield on. I have found these radial discs knock off some of that solder. Just trying to hold it without grinding your fingers. I guess I could hold it with a tweezer, maybe? You know, this is on the back side of a button. It probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference if you get it all off or not. It's just a matter of what works for you. Some people wouldn't want a speck of solder showing. And I certainly wouldn't want it on the front, but I wouldn't kill myself to get it off the back. But that's me, so you have to do what feels right for you. Alright, so there's still going to be some solder on there. I'll clean up this bee a little bit. Luckily I didn't get much solder on this. Let me just clean that up a little bit. Although this really isn't necessary at this point. But I'm kind of checking them out all over. Alright. So he's on. The jump ring is centered on the back. And what I'm going to do is plate. I'm going to put this in some hot blue pickle. And it will plate copper over the silver solder, so you won't see that. It's not perfect, but it does pretty good. So to do that, I have a little cup warmer. I have a little custard Pyrex cup and some used up steel wool. And I'm going to dip this cup and scoop some up of my pickle. So you can see it's turned blue. I'm going to stick that in here. And I'm going to stick, I guess I could have put a little more pickle in there. I'm going to stick that in there. And give him like a little blanket to cover him up, and then I'm going to put this cup on the cup warmer or mug warmer, just to keep it warm for a few minutes. I would say generally about 10 minutes usually is enough. Pickle is always warm. Yeah, it is. I have found there's a couple times, well, I'm using this, I have two different pickle pots. So I have one with the citric acid pickle, and the other one is a pool. It's a pool chemical. I don't know if it's pH down or something to that, something, one of those names like that. And the pool one seems to work a lot faster than the citric acid. Although the other one, the citric pickle, works really well too. But I have thrown things in the pool chemical when the pickle pot was cold, and it still cleaned it up real nice. So, you know, I don't know. That's just something that I kind of came across. Okay, so let's look at the buffalo nickel. And oh, my tweezers are crooked. They've been bent. So let's get those straightened out if I can. Sometimes you can fix these things, yep, all by yourself. They're not perfect, but it's better. Yeah, better, much better. Okay, so I get sidetracked easily. All right, so let's get that nickel from the pickle. And it still looks like doo-doo. Of course, that hasn't been in there all that long, so. I used Sparx a long time ago, but I haven't used it lately. I've found these other ones that I pretty much like a lot, actually. So I've just kind of been sticking with that. Okay, so this one really looks bad still, but I was telling you that's how these nickels are, but it cleans up really well. So let's get this guy going again, my micromotor. And yes, Deb, that is my micromotor that I'm using. Oh, face shield. You see, it comes off really well with this. Okay, it doesn't take long to get that cleaned up pretty well. I'm going to move to a finer one. This one's pretty beat up. And I would put this in the tumbler also, and it'll help clean it up even further. I have a couple of fun things coming up, a couple of fun classes that I'm still working on. Next week we're going to do stenciling on enamel. I've got that pretty much lined up already, which is going to be fun. And then I'm going to do a resin project. That'll be after that with wildflowers. We're going to resin some wildflowers, and I'm really liking the way that's coming out. You made a rhyme, Nickel and Pickle. The scarf. What's the scarf? What am I forgetting or missing, Jennifer? See, that came out really good. That came out pretty good. There's a little little solder in here, but I'm not going to worry about that. All right, so I'm going to set this good. Yeah, this resin is the blue and green scarf you wore once you made. I don't know. That's kind of a like all over the place, like the whole table kind of thing. I'll think about if I can do that. It's a mess, but it's kind of fun. Yep. Okay, so I need this little, this is not turquoise, this is Amazonite that I've got here that I'm going to put in this. Before I would set this, I would probably put this in the tumbler for a little while. However, I have tumbled with some of these stones. I know you're not supposed to with all kinds of stones. I mean, certain stones you shouldn't, but the Amazonite works okay in the tumbler. So, I mean, I put these rings on here, and this is turquoise, and this is coral, and this is like a green turquoise, and I put them in the tumbler all the time, and they haven't been affected at all. So, I don't think there's a problem with some of it, but I know certain stones you're not supposed to do that too. Okay, so I've got my Amazonite in there, and where's my tools? So this is a 4mm bezel cup and a 4mm Amazonite stone, and I'm just going to push that in there. And I think these are kind of fun. I'm going to make a few more pairs of the buffalo nickel earrings for my next show next month, and hopefully they will sell. I think they look really cool. So I'm just pushing that all the way around to get the stone secured. I made a few cabochons last night, glass cabochons, and I haven't been on the torch for probably 2 months. And someone had asked me for a custom order, so I got busy on there yesterday, and as soon as I sat down to that torch, it was just like wonderful. I didn't realize that I had missed it that much. So I'll be having some cabochons available relatively soon. And we're almost at our goal of 1,000 members, so we'll have a drawing. I'm not sure what I'm going to offer up as little prizes, but probably some cabochons and maybe some of the things I've been doing on the demos might be kind of fun. So, like I said, we're almost there. Yay! All right, so I'm just burnishing this bezel a little bit. And there she goes. I hope you can see that okay. Oh. Mary, I am not doing the Boy Scout show in October. I did it several years ago for a couple of years, and it's a cute show, but it's mostly a craft show, and you know, I just can't compete with people that are selling, you know, earrings for $5 and stuff like that. So it's in a nice park, it's a nice setting, all that stuff, but it's just the wrong venue for me. Okay, all right, so that's done. Okay, so that makes a nice little button. It'd be pretty on a bracelet, maybe on some Southwest color beads. That'd be kind of cool. All right. Renee, I am happy that you found our group also. I truly am. It's growing, and I think most people are enjoying it. You know, I don't get the viewership that I would think sometimes, but hey, you know, if a few people get something out of it, I'm good with that. All right, so let's check on the plating. Okay. Well, Cynthia, I don't know. I haven't approached anybody, any companies or anything, and I don't do the volume that a lot of people do, so I don't know that they would even think about me. I'm small potatoes to a lot of people, so who knows? All right, so I've got the plating stuff here, and I want to rinse this. I'm going to take this out, and it stinks. It really stinks after you've had the steel wool in there mixed with the pickle. And it's not as long as I didn't keep it in as long as I would normally, but it's plated somewhat, but it could be better. I don't know if you can tell in there or not. It's pretty shiny. It's a lot better than it was, but I think it still could be better. Oh, please. Okay. My daughter just cannot remember that I'm doing demos on Wednesday. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to be changing the day for the demos. Hang on just 1 second here. Okay, I'm going to be changing the day, and it won't be on Wednesdays, because my grandson starts back to school not next week, the week after, and I will have to pick him up, and he's going to school in Chicago, so I have to be available. in the afternoon. So I'm thinking either Tuesday or Thursday for the demos. Still at 2:30, but either a Tuesday or Thursday. So I'm going to try to get that worked out. But just an FYI, next Wednesday is probably the last Wednesday it's going to be. So, you know, I'm satisfied with this. I would just polish this up a little bit more, probably stick it in the tumbler and get a nice shine on it, or you could patina it like this first button I have here. Okay, so this is with patina and without. So I kind of prefer it with. It just looks a little richer to me, but some people like the shiny copper too. So, you know, it's an option. That's totally up to you. And I kind of like the buffalo just the way it is, but that could certainly be patinaed as well. Okay, so yeah, if you guys have a preference as to Tuesday or Thursday, you could let me know, and then, you know, I'll decide on however many people, you know, want Tuesday as opposed to Thursday or whatever, and go from there. But right now, I'm not certain because I think I've got a couple of appointments the following week for my dad, both on Tuesday and Thursday. So if I can get my husband to pick up Max, then I can go ahead and do one more Wednesday. Okay. All right. So I think I think I've pretty well covered the buttons. Let's see here. If you have any other questions, I will still keep moving along, but we did the buffalo nickel with the cabochon. We did the button with the B, and then we did two hole buttons, one domed and one flat. And those are them right there. But like I had said before, I think I would avoid the aluminum coins entirely. I think aluminum is probably really not good for us to wear or to breathe. I think there's something to that in Alzheimer's, but that's just my thought. I don't think anything is really proven, but I think that we should stay away from that. But to each his own. So you won't be seeing me work with aluminum. I just won't do it. But the other metals, like I said, I don't know what's in them. I don't even know with the nickel. I mean, I know there's nickel and there's copper. I don't know if there's brass. But like I said, I would use adequate ventilation, a fume trap, a window open, a door open, and a fan. I did plate the copper. Are you asking me to do that, Sonny? Or oh, I see the question above. So when you went, did I cover it? I did not, but that would be a good thing to do. You could just put anything over it just to keep the fumes down. I mean, not fumes necessarily, but it's a smell. I cover the pickle pot. I mean, that you should do because that'll stink up your room too. But yeah, a lid on it would probably be a great idea. Yeah, I got you now. I didn't see that question above, or your comment above. Okay, so guys, oh, let me show you the stencils for next week's project. And let's see. All right. Oh, this one's got nothing on it. That one too. I think those were just pieces that I found that I had enameled and never did anything with. So I can go ahead and sometimes I'll do that when I'm enameling, and it's like I'll just enamel a bunch of extra random pieces so that I have something for another project. But sometimes that doesn't work out well because maybe what I want to do isn't the same colors, but nonetheless, that's what I had. But anyway, I've got a bunch of different stencils. I thought I would just show you guys how I apply them with the enamels. We'll do that and next week. Then we've got wildflowers and resin coming up. And, you know, if some of you saw on my, on the group page, you know, that I was doing those pinch pots, that I took a class, I just love doing that. My friend went with me and we had a good time, and it was a two-part class, and it was with regular clay and a clay that has to be fired. And I don't have a kiln for a clay kiln. I don't have that, you know, a ceramic kiln. That's the right word. So I'm not getting into that. I swear I don't need another thing, another big piece of equipment. But I did like the process a lot. And so the first week we formed the little pots. And then the second week, you know, that she fired them, and then the second week we went back and we painted them, and I picked them up on Friday. So you know, I'm just curious to see how they came out. They probably look like, you know, a 5-year-old did them, but I had a lot of fun doing them. Anyway, so what I have been doing the last week and a half or so is I've been investigating air dry clays. And I've bought 2 different brands, and I've made a little series of little dishes, kind of like my enamel dishes that I did last fall, and some little pinch pots with that. And they take several days to dry. So I'm kind of like in those in-between stages, and I think it has some potential. I bought a different clay yesterday, the second clay that I bought. The first clay is kind of lightweight, and it almost feels like polymer clay, but it's not. They claim it's clay. I don't know. But the second one is actually, I mean, it actually feels like clay. It works like clay. It was easier to work with. It's messy as hell, but it's fun. It's very tactile. It's very fun. So I'm waiting to see how long it takes for that to dry, but I'm excited to play with those and paint them and do a demo on that. So, you know, I'm trying to find different things. Like I said, not everything is going to appeal to everyone, but I personally feel I like to try a lot of different things, and I get bored doing the same stuff over and over again. It doesn't always have to be jewelry, but I do like to make stuff. So, but you guys know that. So, Jennifer, I do have a kiln, but it's a, you know, glass metal kiln, not a ceramic kiln. That's a whole different thing. So, I don't want to go there. So, we'll see how this air dried clay works out, and you know, it might just be a little phase. I tend to do that, you know, where I'll get all excited about something for a few months, you know, and then I'm good with it, you know, I've had it. But not necessarily, because I may revisit these things from time to time, as I do with most of the different techniques that I play around with. So anyway, so that's it for today. I will see you guys on the group page, and please post anything that you guys make. If you make some buttons, please put them up there. I want to see what you guys are doing. We should be very close to our goal, my goal of 1,000 people, and hopefully we'll get there maybe even today. And then we'll set up a little reward thing, a little I don't know, just a little giveaway. So that'd be fun. All right, thanks for being with me. I appreciate it. I always have fun when you guys are on here with me and give me little comments and keep me going. So if there are items that you need to buy, I will list them on the group page with an Amazon link if you care to buy through there. I know that sometimes you can get those things cheaper someplace else, but sometimes the convenience outweighs the extra cost, and sometimes the cost isn't so bad. I actually, speaking of that, last week when we did the Prisma pencils, I was at Joann Fabrics yesterday, and they were quite expensive. And I know that you can get a coupon and all that. I'm all for that kind of stuff. But oddly enough, on Amazon, they had a 36 pencil kit for like $20 for 36. And usually that's like for 12. So I thought that was a damn good deal, and I ordered one because even though I have a bazillion pencils, you know, if I do classes and stuff, we blow through those things pretty frequently. So I thought that was a really good deal. So, you know, Amazon can be good in some ways, and maybe not so much in others, but I'll list any supplies, and if you want to get them, that's great. All right, see you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.